Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Uttaram Yat Samudrasya Himadreschaiva Dakshinam Varsham Tad Bharatam Nama Bharati Yatra Santati. Welcome to all for this session on Skanda Purana to chapter 3 in the Kedara Khanda under Maheshwara Khanda. In the previous chapters, we have learnt about how Daksha, out of his Brahminical rashness, had cursed Shiva and then again cursed himself by Nandi, and later he continued that vengeance against Shiva and organized a great yagna for which he invited all the Devatas, Rishi, Muni, everybody except Shiva and his own daughter Dakshayani. On knowing about this kind of an insult to Shiva, Dakshayani decided to go to the Yagna Shala and find out why exactly the Shiva is being insulted. By her insistence, Shiva finally approved her going to her father's, that is Daksha's Yagnashala, in spite of the fact that Daksha had not invited both Shiva and Dakshayani. And on seeing her, Shiva knew that she will never come back to her own city again. Lomasha, the Sutamuni, continued the story. Dakshayani went to the place where the great yaga was being performed. After going to the abode of her father, the abode which was full of various wonderful things, she stood at the entrance. The devas of the exalted fortune became delighted. They got down from their seats after seeing the congregation of devas, her parents, friends, relatives, and kinsmen. She made obeisance to her father and mother with delight. Then the goddess spoke these words in a manner suitable to the occasion. Why was Shambhu, the extremely splendid Lord, not invited by you? He is the Lord by whom this entire universe, consisting of the mobile and immobile beings, has been sanctified. He is Yagna or the incarnate, an important part of the Yagna, the sacrificial gift offered therein, the material offered therein, the mantras, etc., the Havya and Kavya. He is identical with all these things. He is the most excellent one among those who are experts in performing yajnas. Everything performed without him will become impure. How can a sacrifice function at all, O dear father, without Shambhu? How did these came here, O father, along with Brahma? Don't you know, O Prigu, O Kashyapa of great intellect, O Atri, O Vasishtha, you are alone, O Shakra. What has been done by you today, O Vishnu? You do know the Supreme Lord Mahadeva, O Brahma. Don't you know the valor of Mahadeva? Formerly you happened to be five-faced. You spoke arrogantly to Sadashiva and you were made four-faced by Sadashiva himself. It is surprising that you have forgotten that miracle. He is the Lord Rudra who formerly begged for alms in the forest of Daruvana when this mendicant was cursed by you and your friends. Even after cursing Rudra, how was this incident forgotten by you? He is the Lord by whose limb alone the universe, including the mobile and immobile beings, has been filled up. The entire universe became the linga at that very instant. They call it linga because of the dissolution of the entire universe in it. All the devas, along with Vasava, mean Indra, are born of the trident bearing Lord, such a Lord who is to be realized through the Vedantas cannot be comprehended by you. On hearing her words, Daksha became angry and spoke these words against his daughter Dakshayani. Of what avail is your verbal prolixity? It has no relevance to the present occasion. O gentle lady, you may go or stay. Why did you come at all? Your husband is an inauspicious fellow, not conducive to propitiousness. O lady of good waistline, he is ignoble, excluded from the Vedas. He is the king of goblins, ghosts, and vampires. Hence, he has not been invited to the sacrifice. O gentle lady of sweet speech, O lady of excellent loins, it is to Rudra, who is haughty and evil minded and of unknown antecedents, that you had been given in marriage by me to a dull witted sinner like Shiva. Hence, abandon this body of yours, O lady of pure smiles, and be happy. So, in this way, Daksha is indirectly telling Sati to give up her body, which has been given to Shiva. It was thus that his own daughter Sati, who was worshipped by all the worlds, what was addressed by Daksha. Then, on seeing her own father full of contempt for Shiva, Sati became excessively furious. Then the goddess thought thus: though I am desirous of seeing Shankara, how can I go back to our mansion? What will I say if I am asked about this incident by Shankara? He who censures Mahadeva, he who listens when Mahadeva is being censured, both of them go to hell and remain there as long as the moon and the sun shine. Hence, I will abandon this body and will enter into the fire. Pondering thus and being overwhelmed by insult, she entered fire, uttering the words, O Rudra, O Shiva, the entire quarters being pervaded with the great uproar of alas, alas. All those who had come with Sati climbed onto the platform laden with weapons. They crowded the place without any gap because 60,000 Pravataganas had came, Shivaganas, they came along with Dakshayani. So they all climbed onto the platform laden with weapons. They crowded the place without any gap. They hit and struck themselves with their weapons. They cut off their own bodies. Some of them cut off their own heads and eagerly performed Nirajana, that means the waving of the lights in circles, rites with them. Immediately they were reduced to ashes. Then everyone said, thus 20,000 of the Ganas roared terrifically. Those dreadful ones cut off their limbs by means of weapons. Thus they all perished there along with Dakshayani. So all those ganas who came along with Dakshayani to the Daksha Yagna, they all perished along with Dakshayani. That was a great miracle. All sages, the devas, beginning with Indra, along with the groups of Maruts, Vishvedevas, Ashwins, and the guardians of the quarters, All these became silent then. Some of them walked around requesting Vishnu, the most excellent one. This was the end of the yagna of that evil minded Daksha. The yagna of the unworthy Brahmana Daksha was ruined, and the sages became afraid. In the meantime, O Brahmanas, all these activities and behavior of Daksha were communicated to Rudra by the noble minded Narada. On hearing Narada's report, the Supreme Lord Shiva became extremely infuriated. In his anger, he as if jumped up from his seat, uprooting a plate of his hair from his matted hair. Rudra, the cause of the annihilation of all the worlds, angrily dashed it on the top of the mountain. As a result of this dashing, Veerabhadra of great fame rose up. So also did Kali, surrounded by crores of spirits and goblins. Though the wrathful breath of the noble minded Rudra, 100 types of fevers and 13 sannipatas combined derangement of all the three humors causing deadly varieties of fevers, they all rose up. Rudra of fierce and dreadful exploits was entreated by Veerabhadra. O Lord, what task of your lordship is to be carried out now? Tell me quickly. On being requested thus, Lord Rudra hurriedly commissioned Virabhadra, saying, Go and destroy Daksha's Yagna. Receiving the behest of the trident bearing Lord of the Devas with his head humbly accepting the order, the heroic Virabhadra of excessive refulgence, who was kissed by Kalika and was surrounded by all goblins, rushed to the Daksha's sacrifice. At that very time, ill omens occurred suddenly. A rough wind blew, carrying with it gravels and sand. The rain god showered blood. The quarters were enveloped in darkness. Thousands of meteors fell on the earth. The Devas and others saw such phenomena foreboding evil. They became frightened. Daksha sought refuge in Vishnu. O Vishnu, save me, O great Vishnu. Indeed, you are our greatest preceptor and elderly one. You are identical with Yagna. O most excellent one among Suras, save me from this fearful danger. On being requested and prayed to by Daksha, the slayer of Madhu, mean the Vishnu said, protection should be accorded to you by me. There is no doubt about it. Disrespect has been shown by you, O Daksha, without understanding the genuine dharma or the virtue. Due to the contemptuous disregard of Lord Shiva, everything will become fruitless now, where those who are not worthy of respect or worship, where he who is worthy of being worshipped is not worshipped, three consequences, namely famine, death, and fear, will go into prevail there. Hence, the bull bannered Lord Shiva should be honored with all efforts. Great fear and danger beset you because the great Lord was not honored. All of us are not powerful enough now because of your evil behavior. There is no need to discuss this matter further. On hearing those words of Vishnu, Daksha became lost in anxious thoughts. Turning pale in the face, he remained silent and sat on the ground, expressly commanded by Rudra himself. The extremely powerful Virabhadra came to the sacrificial enclosure accompanied by the nine Durgas and others. The nine of the Durgas are also known as Navadurgas or Kali, Katyayini, Ishana, Chamunda, Mundamardini, Bhadrakali, Bhadra, Twarita, and Vaishnavi. A big multitude of bhutas also entered the sacrificial enclosure of great refulgence. Shakinis, Dakinis, Bhutas, Pramathas, Guhyakas, a host of yoginis in circular formation along with 64 tantras, all these entered the sacrificial enclosure suddenly. Hundreds and thousands of ganas who accompanied Veerabhadra were all the prasadas or the attendants of Shankara. All of them had the form of Rudra. They had five faces and blue throats. All had weapons in their hands. They were duly served with umbrellas and chauris. All were as valorous as Shiva. They had 10 arms and 3 eyes. Their eyes were matted, their hair was matted. They wore the ornaments of Rudra, bearing crescent moon on their heads. All of them had different kinds of robes and ornaments. Accompanied by these, the noble souled, three eyed, dreadful Veerabhadra of terrible might who had 1,000 arms and was entwined by great serpents, marched towards the sacrifice. His chariot was drawn by 2,000 horses and a million lions. The armored defenders of his sides were many lions, tigers, sharks, fishes, and thousands of elephants who had different kinds of umbrellas and chauris held over the head of everyone everywhere. Then high sounding bheris means the war drums, conches of various degrees of sound. Patahas means the kettle drums, musical instruments like gomukha. Different kinds of horns were sounded. Cymbals, gongs, and wind instruments were played. All of them were engaged in singing pleasantly. All of them played on mridangas, means the special drums. The Ganas proceeded ahead in front of Veerabhadra, indulging in different kinds of dances. Those Ganas of unmeasured power and potency roared along with the mighty martial sounds of the musical instruments. By that great sound of three worlds echoed and reverberated. Thus all those ganas ordered or urged by Rudra came there to the sacrificial enclosure of Daksha and began to smash for the sake of destroying it. The sky was covered with dust, and all the quarters were enveloped in darkness. The earth, consisting of the 7 islands, means the continents, shook along with the mountains and forests. Those devas, daityas, and night wanderers observed this wonderful spectacle, foreboding the ruin of all the worlds. All of them stood up simultaneously. They saw the dreadful army of Rudra advancing. Some of them were coming over the earth, some were coming through the sky, others covered the quarters and the intervening spaces and rushed on. All of them were of inexhaustible strength, infinite in number. They were heroic on a par with Rudra in battle. On seeing such an army surrounded by the followers of Rudra, all of them said in great surprise and dismay, "Let us advance against those devas with weapons in the hands." Indra rode on his elephant, the wind god rode on a deer, Yama, equipped with the rod of death, rode on a buffalo, Kubera drove in a aerial chariot known as Pushpaka, Varuna rode on a shark, the fire god rode on a goat, Nirarati rode on a ghost. Similarly, other groups of suras, yakshas, charanas, and kushyakas valorously rode on their respective vehicles. On seeing the preparations of his own people, Daksha's face was covered with tears. He prostrated himself on the ground and spoke to all of them. O friends of great luster, it was on the strength of your support that this great Yagna was begun by me. For the accomplishment of this good rite, you are the final authority. O Vishnu, you are the protector of holy rites and yajnas as well as the virtue described in the Vedas. O Madhava, you are the promoter of Brahmana's rights. Hence, O great Lord, proper protection should be accorded to this yajna. On hearing the words of Daksha, the slayer of Madhu, mean the Vishnu replied to him, when you say that protection should be accorded by me to maintain holy rites, yes, it is true. But the transgression is of your own doing in regard to this yagna. You said something to Sadashiva in the Naimisha forest, the holy spot of Devas. Is it not remembered by you? Rudra Sadashiva, who has great splendor, who is of the form of Yagna, was excluded from the Yagnas. O deluded one, that was the wrong advice of yours. Who is competent to protect you from Rudra's wrath? I do not see anyone, O Brahmana, who can protect you, the evil minded one. You do not distinguish between good and evil acts, O evil minded one. A holy rite alone is not necessarily efficacious always to produce the results. That means simply performing an yajna is not sufficient. Understand that a holy rite with the support of Ishvara, Shiva, is competent to produce results. Excepting Ishvara, there is no other bestower of the fruit of karma. Sadashiva grants the benefit of holy rites of those persons who are the devotees of Ishvara, who are calm and whose mind dwell on him. Those people who solely depend upon karma, that means only depend upon performing of yajna or performing of any puja, forgetting the god or the forgetting the Ishvara, and are engaged in denying Ishvara, will always go to hell even if they perform 100 crores of yajnas. Those who put faith in the karmanas alone, are bound by the fetters of karma in birth and even after the birth. They are roasted and cooked in the hells. Thus ended the third chapter of Kedar of Maheshwara Khanda in the Skanda Purana. In this, as the Rudra, as the Dakshayani had left her body along with her. All the Shivaganas who accompanied her also perished. And on knowing about the death on knowing about Dakshayani having left her body, Shiva threw his matted hair onto the Kailasa, which gave birth to Virabhadra, and along with Veerabhadra, the entire army of Shiva attacked Daksha's Yagna Shala. And when Daksha requested all the gods, including Vishnu, to protect him, Vishnu clearly told him, performing an yagna is not so important when the Ishvara, who is the owner and who is the lord of all the yagnas, is forgotten. And if someone is forgotten, the Ishvara, and perform only karma, will always go to the hell. Namaste Sharada Devi, Kashmir Puravasini, Twamaham Prarthaye Nityam, Vidya Danancha Dehime. Goodbye.